What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Thought Leader Podcast. This is episode 9. I am your host, Dylan Barr, and in this podcast, we interview past and current thought leaders in the realms of health, wealth, and relationships. We learn from their mastery in hopes to reaching our audience, which is past, current, and most importantly, aspiring thought leaders, potential future thought leaders, those of you that are watching that you know you have a message in your heart or a mastery in your mind, and you're on that precipice of getting from your comfort zone to your uncomfort zone to get your message out there. What we do is we understand the stories of our own thought leaders in our sphere, understand why they decided to get uncomfortable and what they have to teach us in hopes to reach you. Today, we are going to be speaking in the realm of relationships. We're actually going to be talking with a relationship coach. We're going to be talking about the havoc that can come in relationships. We're going to be talking about how you can learn to meditate in 60 seconds, which is an amazing hook. How you can forgive in 20 seconds, which is an amazing hook. We're going to talk about affirmations, maybe some spiritual stuff. We're going to be speaking with Keya Murthy. I said that right, hopefully. She's amazing. She is a client in Business Accelerator, which is a program that I run here at Thought Leader. Let me tell you a little bit about Keya. She's passionate first and foremost about personal freedom. You're a big traveler. You're in India recently. She believes no price is too large to pay for personal freedom. She has a degree in physics and a master's in computer science. Nerd. She worked for 16 years in corporate America before life took a big turn on 9/11, when terrorists attacked for you. You went through 4 years of a dark night of the soul, is what you said. And you returned to school to study hypnotherapy. You found your gateway, your true calling that way. And today you help working women define success for themselves, find joy in their relationships and their careers. You are an urban shaman. You're an alchemist. Keya uses principles of hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, astrology, energy medicine, Ayurveda, yoga, crystal therapy, angel intuitive guidance, emotional freedom techniques, Buddhist and Vedantic philosophies, and you use all this work in your life. And you have 12 books to your own credit, 5 of which you co-authored with other light workers. And like I said, she is a client of Business Accelerator, built your business, and I believe it was in a 30-day span, did $35,000. It was like $75,000 by the end of last year. You've had a lot of success in it. We're going to talk a bit about that towards the end of today's interview, but damn, you've done a lot. Welcome to the show, Keya Murthy.
I am so honored, Dylan, to be here with you.
You and I, twin flames, friends, siblings, family members. I don't know. Um, I love working with you in Business Accelerator. And when I saw you pop up on the calendar for today's podcast, I got super excited. I really want to understand your journey. And if there's ever an area where I ask questions we don't want to go into, you just let me know. But I want to start from the top. I ask this to everybody. People that watch this podcast are probably already sick of it. It's called the Thought Leader Podcast, right? We have a company called Thought Leader. That's a pretty vague concept. Uh, I think thought leader means something different to every person. And I think that's totally fine. But for you, with what you do, with what you've done, what does being a thought leader mean to you?
You can think on your own, period. There will be naysayers. There will be people who will try to pull you down. There will be people who will challenge you. Welcome all of them, embrace it, and stick to what comes to you now. Because
Hmm,
tomorrow it might change
hmm.
and it might be different from yesterday. So don't be scared by your own brilliance, by your own thoughts. Think for yourself, period. That's a thought leader.
I love that one, especially nowadays where people get their message out they're leaving a social imprint, right? They're using social media, they're using TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those places, right? And Reddit, right? One that comes to mind. There's a lot of haters out there. And I think it can be some of the scariest parts of the thought leader journey is the beginning parts, right? But what you're saying is you start that journey saying, I'm thinking for myself and this is what I believe in. You have the courage and the confidence to put that forward. That's the power of being a thought leader. I really appreciate that. I want to know because you've had an interesting journey. Hopefully, we can talk about all of it here. But it started with computer science and physics, going to
Yeah,
school.
it
Or
started with physics and mathematics, and then later on computer science. But I started working with computers when I was 15. I went to a school to learn how to write code in the language called BASIC.
yeah, I believe in the power of story, right? Like I think, and really understanding the beginning of your story here. What fueled that early passion with computers, with mathematics, with physics? I'm not saying you strayed from it, but what you do now is a different realm, right? What fueled the beginning part of your journey?
Well, I wasn't born cute. Okay, it started with that. And I know cute people get away with a lot, and I didn't have that. So I knew I had to do something else
Mm,
if I wanted to survive, right?
mm,
And this is, I will just call it God's gift. And if you don't believe in God, then it's a genetic trait that I'm good at math.
mm,
I'm very good at math. So I just stuck with it because I had a sister who's like less than 2 years younger than me, and she's cute. So everybody was always like, "Oh my God, she's so cute. Oh my God, she's so cute." And then it's a second child, they're braver. They can come out and be themselves because all they have to do is try to take the place of the firstborn, the one who's right above them. The
mm,
firstborn is like born and like looks at parents and they're like, "Oh my God, they are so tall and they are so huge and they are so scary and they are so good. I will never be like them." But the second child doesn't have that.
mm,
And plus, I have a darker skin tone and she had a lighter skin tone.
mm-hmm,
So she got a lot of those things working for her. And of course, once I was 6 years old and I overheard it, I was that shy, quiet, introverted child who always like hid under the bed or hid behind the curtains or you know, wrapped in mom's sari, because I'm from India and your mom wears a sari and you stand inside and you wrap
mm-hmm,
yourself, you cover and protect yourself. And once I heard someone tell my dad, "Mr. Murthy, you have two daughters. The younger one is fine. She's fair and beautiful. The older one is dark, and you will have to pay a lot of dowry for her." And I said, "I'll never do that to my dad. My dad will never pay a cent in dowry for me." And that stuck with me.
to the awareness you talk about at such a young age is fascinating, right? Because it could be very easy for a layman to hear this and be like, that guy could break you at a young age. And for you, you had this, it almost like this stick out your chest a little bit more of like, I'll prove you wrong. Like this resiliency that came at a young age. And what was it that then, like from having this, you were just naturally good at math, and you're like, I'm going to double down, and that's how I'm going to show, and that's how I'm going to prove my worth.
I didn't know about that because math it still gives me a high. My daughter says, "Mom, what's wrong with you? Why won't you use tools when?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just like to do math in my head because I just feel good if I can do numbers in my head."
Yeah, it's your flow state. And what did you end up going? So you went into computer science, physics, computer science, right? Is that what I?
Hmm.
What did you do for 16 years in corporate America?
I was a software engineer.
Wow.
I was doing the flow charts. I was developing and designing software code for accounting firms, for pharmaceutical companies. I worked for Abbott Labs. I worked for Arthur Anderson. Before it was Anderson Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia. I worked for Baxter. I worked for Bayers. I worked for ST Microelectronics. So I worked for all these companies and came up with this software that they could use to manage their systems.
Mm. You did that for 16 years. Do you
Mhm.
mind if we talk about the Dark Night of the Soul?
No, I would love to because
Okay.
people go through it and they don't know what to do.
Because it's a big one, right? I mean, I'm sure most of us remember exactly where we were on that day. I
Hmm.
remember it's like the teachers rolling in the TV to have to show us what's going on. So for you, you said that was your change. What
Hmm.
was it's kind of a two-parter because you said it was 4 years of Dark Night of the Soul. It's like not even Dark Night, it's Dark Years of the Soul. What was the
Yes.
initial change, right? You're this person that's like this prideful, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going into mathematics. You go into corporate America. You have this successful life, someone could say. It's like, just keep doing it.
Mhm.
What was the big change that happened immediately? And what was the big lesson that you learned through this?
So my youngest one at that time was 1 year old because he's a millennial baby, right? And now he's 1 year old. And the company I worked for, I was in Dallas, Texas. The name of the company was Springboard Solutions. That went belly up. Okay. So they closed the doors. So I used to make $100,000. 1999, I made
Yeah,
$100,000.
amazing.
Right. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, like you are like in your early 30s. I was as old as you, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and uh, and then you come down to zero
Hmm.
overnight. And so I'm like looking for a job online, right? Looking for a job. And I'm a morning person, wake up, I'm looking for a job. And then I turn around and I hear some noise outside. And it's my son who's 3 years old. And he's there with his nice innocent face. And he looks at me and he says, Mom, I'm so happy to see you at home in the morning. And I'm like,
Mm.
and I'm like, who needs a job? Needs a job. I'm going to be with my babies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that completely shifted. So I took him down. We did our everything that you need to do for a child when they wake up. And then I come up. And guess what? On Yahoo, there's a banner that says, make $6,000 from home, working from home.
Mm.
No,
Timing.
I'm like, it's not 10,000, but it's 6,000. I'll take it right now. I'm at zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Herbalife distributorship. And being this shy, quiet, introverted person, this geek who sits behind a computer, now you have to go out and sell potions and lotions, Herbalife, work from home. And that weekend, there was Les Brown coming over to Dallas to talk to us, to motivate us, to pump us. Jim Rohn was there, Les Brown was there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going. And for the first time, I saw men very comfortably hug each other on stage. And I was from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You wear your tie, I mean, like on Friday, it's casual, but it's business casual. Okay. Nobody touches. All you do is shake hands and hear the men who hug each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want a piece of this. And and of course there were the people, and right away I'm like, okay, I'm going to train. And I started training on products, and people said, "Oh, women train on products, but women don't do marketing." Right away I went to the Dallas head and I said, I'm going to do marketing. I'm going to teach people how to go through the marketing plan. And then suddenly I saw it was like a dog eat dog world. People would say one thing called, you need to have a sense of urgency. You need to have a sense of urgency. I'm like, where's the compassion?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, so I quit. And then when people come to a certain level and then they have a plateau, then they jump into another company. Then I did Melaleuca, I did Isogenics, name the companies,
Right. Yeah.
been there, done that. And I would come home and tell my husband that, oh, I made $50. Was that in profit or sales? And I'm like, I struggled the whole day, and this is what I get to hear.
Just
Man, I made
take the
200.
compliment.
I'm like, I made $250 today. Was it in sales or profit? No, I don't want to do this. So you go through this, right? You're looking for external validation and you're not finding it.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets you more and more. At least a person like me, if I was born today, I would be diagnosed as autistic, ADHD, all that kind of stuff. I'm glad I'm not born today and never been on drugs. But that is what went on for years. And then I came across this ad that said, you can be a hypnotist for free. I'm like, for free? I called the number. It's a toll-free number. Then they said, no, it's not a free thing. It's just 1 month is free. We'll give you a certificate saying you're a hypnotist, but you can be a hypnotherapist. And that's a 1 year accredited program. And I was like, okay. I went and I signed up, and then I realized this is just the pathway, the gateway. to access someone's subconscious mind. And there is so much more, which is our higher consciousness and everything else.
And that's what I want to get into now, because it almost feels like three stages now. It's like this early stage of math nerd, which wear as a badge of honor, right? There's this second stage, which if we come back to the question, it's you had this moment of going from 100K years to zero. And on top of that, you have this young son that's like, I want to spend more time with you. And then you say, I'll do whatever I can to make that happen. And then you go into this program and they say you have to go into products but not marketing, and you say, no, I'm going to do that. But then you go and you go from back end, if you think of the computers, to front of the curtain.
Stage.
Uh, and you go through ups and downs with it, right? All of the programs. But there does seem to be almost like this resilience or defiance is the big thing that I'm hearing here, whether it's the very beginning or this transition, but you're not making what you need to make, right? Apparently, or clearly. And you start looking at this hypnotist, and then it's hypnotherapy, and then it's the subconscious mind. And this can tap into all of your background, right? So what has been the fuel now? Because it really seems like that's the latest, correct me if I'm wrong, the latest wave you're on. Hypnotherapist, subconscious mind, and coach. What is at the heart of wanting to do this, other than being home with your child?
I felt very lonely.
Hmm.
And I know that people do feel lonely. They might be as successful as possible, and all these sense of urgency and everything is like, I want to show them. I want to show someone. I want to prove myself to someone. It's that urge that comes up. And I have fewer years to live right now than I have already lived.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the sense of urgency. It's like, I really, really, really need to leave my positive footprint on this planet. I need to build this legacy and live it and leave it for those here right now with me and our children's children, the unborn ones, to
Hmm.
know that they can do this.
I love
Your
that.
core, your true home is deep within you. I mean, we talk about the God particle,
Mm-hmm.
that energy that holds everything together. Where is it? It's not out there. It's right within you, in that zygote, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in your mom's uterus
Mm-hmm.
before it even lands in the womb. That is you. And we forget about that, because we are taught to say no, we are taught fear, and we don't know. And so we get programmed into everything that we are not. But people can go back into that space of knowing who they truly are and become a force. The reason they incarnated in this lifetime, they can live that purpose, they can live that life. The promise that they made to themselves, this lifetime, this is who I'm going to be. It's real, it's not an illusion. It's not a scary thing. You can do it. All you need to know is someone did it before you. And it could be just like a minute before you,
Mm-hmm.
because a leader is no one else but someone who's one step ahead of the pack, right?
This is powerful, right? Bringing it back to that zygote, and I love the picture of this paw print that you leave on this world when you're gone. Has it come to you of what you think that paw print states, or what embodies the Keya Murthy paw print?
Yeah, forgiveness. Let go.
Yeah.
Let go.
You Let's go into that then, if you don't mind, because I am
Yes.
excited about this with who you help and what you do, because you help women get with the
Hmm.
relationships, their
Hmm.
career and at home. You talk about there's three things I was writing down: meditation,
Hmm.
forgiveness, and affirmation. So let's start with the second one. You say you
Hmm.
can do it in as little as 20 seconds,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Walk me through that. Someone has my ex girlfriend
Hmm.
ruined me when I was in college, early college, right? Bad breakup, infidelity, Everyone knew about it in my small hometown. I wanted to run away, right? Let's just, I'm going to give you that as an example.
Yeah.
Tell me the power of forgiveness. And you say as little as 20 seconds.
Yeah. As little as 20 seconds. Because she didn't ruin you. Okay.
Mm,
There was already a memory within you that you were not worth whatever your ego was projecting.
mm,
And when this flashed up in front of you, you said, like, she's right and I'm ruined. That's what happens to people. If someone calls me a name,
mm,
calls me a loser, I mean, I'm giving a nice name. People have called me worse, right?
mm,
And what's the first thing that happens is like we freeze, we get into a freeze state. And a person like me, an introvert, usually withdraws and says, like, oh, they are right, maybe they are right, and I am really that. And an extrovert like goes out and tries to show them, like, no, I'm not, and I'm going to prove, and I'm going to prove, and I'm going to prove. And the more you try to prove through your ego state of what you are, you keep failing yourself.
mm.
And so either way, both of us struggle, the introvert and the extrovert. So what happens is when we say that somebody called me a loser or I feel I was ruined, that person said it once, that infidelity happened once.
Mm.
What are we doing to ourselves?
Over
Replaying
and
that record.
over. Yeah.
We are
Over.
replaying that record within us, and every day we think we are ruined every day, and it becomes permanent because it's like scratching the tape, you know like pretend it's rains in a desert and the water doesn't know where to flow because everything is sand and rocks,
Mm-hmm.
but it rains again and it rains again and it rains again, and now the water knows where to flow.
Mm.
And these are the neural networks, the neural pathways, and eventually you have Grand Canyon in the
Yeah.
desert. It wasn't built in a day. So that's what happens, and then we are ruined and we are ruined. And right now you're married, you're happy, you have a child, you have all this awesome life, and something happens. Guess what? All these good things go bye bye, flying out
Mm-hmm.
of the window, and they say, oh my God, I was ruined when I was in my early 20s, or I was a young teenager, or whatever. And that keeps coming up. So, really, who is guilty as charged of
Yeah.
hurting you as a
You.
self?
So it almost sounds like for you that the act of forgiveness cuts this at the root, right? There's nothing
Yes.
that needs to wear down. It's like move past.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's going to be me that's constantly playing this narrative in my head over and over and over and
Hmm.
over again. So you're really it's almost like you are thinking of yourself, right? A lot of people you got to forgive them. It's like, well, you got to do it for yourself, right?
Only
So
you.
one of the things that you've mentioned before, you and I have talked about that. I think this plays a good follow up to is so in your opinion, why do bad things happen to good people?
Hmm. Bad things happen to all people,
Hmm.
and everyone thinks they're a good person. There's no one on the planet walking around saying, look, I'm a good person. Everyone thinks they're good, right?
Yeah.
So bad things happen to all people, just like good things happen to all people. So people should stop thinking of themselves as like good people and, oh, why does bad things happen to me? We don't know anyone's story.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
so so just drop that question. Why do bad things happen to bad things happen to all people? Just
Oh,
like good things happen to all people.
I love it. I love it. Okay. I really like that way of looking at it. I like the act of forgiveness. I want to talk about the other two things, right?
Okay.
Meditation.
Mhm.
Learning meditation. Not doing it, but learning it in as little as 60
Six.
seconds.
Mhm.
Walk me through that. I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock.
Okay, put it on the clock.
And go.
Okay. Close your eyes and we will take 4 slow, long, deep breaths. Inhale, hold, release, relax, let go. Breathing in again into your face, your neck, your throat, your upper body. Release, relax, let go. Inhaling again, nice, slow, long, deep, holding it and feeling the relaxation flow down into your arms, your hands, your fingers, and your fingertips, your back, upper, middle, and lower. Release, relax, let go. And breathe in again. Nice, slow, long, deep into your belly, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your lower legs, your ankles, and your feet. And just be. That was less than 60 seconds, and you are in an altered state.
Do you feel it? I do a pretty very. You should work for Calm. That's a
Mm-hmm,
really good. You should work for the Calm app or the Headspace app. That was
mm-hmm.
good, and it was 60 seconds, and I appreciate it. Okay, so now let's go to the third pillar of the Keya Murthy experience, which is affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
What's your philosophy on them? When should they
Okay.
be used?
They should be used every day.
Mm.
And I'll tell you how to use them. It's this simple. Do not get anyone else to create affirmations for you. Because if affirmations were true, then we would all be skinny, happy, and rich.
Yeah,
Isn't that what we all
yeah,
want? To be skinny, to be happy, and to be rich.
yeah.
But why don't they work? Because we bludgeon our subconscious mind, and suddenly our subconscious mind says, sure, I'm skinny, happy, and rich.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fine, fine. Because your subconscious is just a kid younger than 8 who wants to please the parent, right? So you have to create your own affirmations. And these are your I am declarations. So I'll give you an example. Tell me, what is it that you want now, Dylan? Anything you want.
I want to inspire imagination and creativity to the next generation.
Wonderful. So that is your first affirmation. I am inspiring creativity to the next generation. Write it down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am inspiring creativity to the next generation. No one can take that from you. That is your declaration. That is the I am statement. Now, what is the next? What will you do in order to have that?
Mm. I I will consistently create comics to allow young kids to lose themselves in their imagination.
Okay. So instead of I will, I am creating comics for young kids to lose their imagination and creativity. I am. It's no longer I will, I am, because the future is here and now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out there.
Got it.
And the last question, who will you be when you're creating these comics to inspire children? Who will you be?
I like to use the word I'll be a pillar of possibility
I'm a
for.
pillar of possibility.
Hmm.
I am a pillar of possibility.
Love this. And what I'm seeing with it, it's first what I want,
Mhm,
then it's what I do, and then
mhm.
it's who I'll be. Even though that sounds future, you turn that all of them into a present statement.
Who I am being.
Yeah. Ooh, love that. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a be, do, have.
Yeah.
But when you ask someone, who are you being? They'll be like, I don't know what to say. But you
Yeah.
start with the end in mind. What do you want to have? What will you do in order to have that? And who will you be when you're doing? And you write these, because it's law of creation, be,
Mm-hmm.
do, have. And you write these 3 affirmations every night in longhand.
Mm.
You can text it, you can type it before you go to bed. And the reason you do it before you go to bed, you don't do it when you wake up. But when you're going to bed, you don't have a conscious mind. You don't have a thinking mind where you have logic, reasoning, decision making abilities, analytical faculties, and the willpower, which we don't seem to find when we need it the most, because your conscious mind is only 12% of who you are. And I'll give you an example, like 30 minutes before bed, if somebody comes and tells you, hey, Dylan, can you tell me about this? Or can you look at this? You'll be like, no, can we do this tomorrow? Because what happens before we go to bed is our critical mind goes away and we are in
Mm.
this drifting, dreaming state. So we are this glob of subconsciousness. There's no more thinking mind, no more rationalizing, no more, trying to keep myself safe. So you are this glob of subconsciousness. And when you write these in longhand, what happens is it's a because handwriting is an idiomotor response. You're making it part of your nervous system. You are seeing it, you're saying those words, even in your mind,
Mm.
you're writing it, you're feeling it, and now you're going to sleep. maybe
Mm,
4 hours, maybe 6 hours, maybe 8 hours. Guess what you're doing? You're reprogramming your unconscious mind with this new belief system
mm,
that you are a pillar of possibility. You are creating these comic books. You are inspiring these children. And you do this just once. Write these three statements just once. You can't read it. You can't just stare at it. You have to write it.
mhm,
21 days, 40 days. You're unstoppable.
mm.
You become and you manifest whatever it is that you want. But don't go on an overload or overdrive and try to have too many goals. Oh, and this relationship and this health and this money. And no, 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 one thing at a time. You have to go linear over here.
I really appreciate that. Um, it's powerful, man, and we're going to go longer than 30 minutes today. Because what I want to talk about next is then how you take these practices, how you take everything that you've learned, how you take this energy to help your clientele. But before we do that, I
Mhm.
got an ad read. I get to do
Okay,
an ad
let's do
read.
it.
So, anyone watching this podcast, believe it or not, Thought Leader podcast brought to you by Thought Leader. Over the last 8 years, Thought Leader has made it a mission to help its coaching and consulting clients get their authentic message out to the world in hopes of reaching their own desired audience through the power of speaking and, if you're like Keya, business building. With over 650 clients landing TEDx talks, hundreds more speaking on virtual and physical stages around the world, Thought Leaders perfected the art of delivering a top tier message. They also offer programs to build and scale your own high ticket program and authentically market and sell it to your target audience in order to build a sustainably scaled business. If you have a message in your heart or a mastery in your mind and you wish to share it with your desired audience, click the description below. You'll be able to see our website. You'll be able to see a webinar done by Taylor Conroy, talks about TEDx talks and how you use that to leverage your brand. But we also talk about Business Accelerator, which is something that Keya came through. Took a minute to really start to build this. You had something going, but then you like really hit your flow state. It was $35,000 in 30 days was awesome. Then it was 75,000. Believe we're getting close to 100,000 now. So first off, who is it you work with? Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, women, and is it a specific type of woman that you work with? Because I know you help them with the relationships in their career and at home. A specific type of woman that might be out there that you work with.
Mom.
Hmm.
And some women are not mothers because they're not biological mothers, but they're caregivers. They
Hmm.
could be a caregiver of anyone in their life, parent, an aunt, an older sibling, a younger sibling, someone. They have this caregiving position. So basically, what I'm looking for people are loving, kind, caring people.
Hmm.
Because we all have that within us.
Hmm.
And they're working people.
Hmm.
I work with working moms, committed moms, dedicated moms who are a success when it comes to the career, when it comes to getting stuff done, but somehow they don't feel heard.
Hmm.
Talking about my wink wink, my past version,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it is impacting their relationships. They feel like a failure in their relationships because they don't feel heard. Nobody listens to me.
Yeah.
That
And
is
is
the
it?
classic.
Do you take what the skills you just walked me through? Is that are those pillars of your program with these women? Meditation, forgiveness,
Mhm.
affirmations.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I get them started with their affirmations on day one,
Hmm.
customized. Yes.
So a woman comes to you and it's in a relationship, right? And she's like, "How do I get my husband to do this?" If my wife were to, I believe she'd be like, "How do I get my husband to do this though?" It's affecting my relationship. We're not having this type of conversation. I'd love to have these deeper conversations at night. How do I get my husband to have these deep conversations with me?
Hmm. And this is something that even a man can use for another man. Like a father can use it for his son. A son can use it for the father. You can use it with your brother or a
I'm
male
ready.
partner, colleague, whoever. Because men are, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, are simpler than women.
Hmm.
When you genuinely tell a man, like, I love you, I like your hair, thank you for this thing or whatever, they're like, oh, yeah. They're like, oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Don't exaggerate,
Right.
but just tell them something nice and give an example like why you are saying it, like thank you for doing the dishes, thank you for doing the laundry, whatever you tell them. And I'm like, wow, I'm feeling appreciated. Okay. Now when they are in this gaga goo goo state of a lot of endorphins, ask them what you want from them,
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll do it. She appreciates me, he appreciates me, I'll do it." They'll do it. And when they do it, compliment them, again appreciate them genuinely.
Yeah.
And this works from a boy who's 2 all the way to 92 or 102. It works.
Compliment, ask, and recognize really that compliment.
Yes. So it's appreciate, ask, appreciate,
Hmm.
A.
Makes it easier when it's an alliteration. Thank you. For you, last thing before I talk about the uncomfort aspect and we wind down here. For the women that you work with,
Hmm.
what do you feel is the biggest aha moment you would like them to have as they work with you?
They are good enough.
It's I want to get to the last part of this interview, right, which is the reason to get uncomfortable. It's been so fun. I really appreciate chatting with you,
Thank you.
and to give me the experience that you give people. It felt really really good. I feel softer. I feel calmer right now, which is awesome. You've got outside your comfort zone consistently from being the one that's behind the scenes, and you're like, well, I'm going to go into math, and then all of a sudden you're behind the scenes, and you're going to go in front of the scene, in front of the curtain, right? And you're going to get
Hmm.
into sales and marketing. You get outside your comfort zone then to shift and to go into hypnotherapy, right? Because it was different than what you were doing. And this last one is like getting outside your comfort zone to be there for women in these
Hmm.
relationships, to have conversations that are more difficult to have, right? You didn't
Hmm.
have to do any of those. Why did you decide, and if we can even just talk about the last one if it's easier, but why did you decide to get outside your comfort zone, to do that paw print that you wish to leave? Like, why did you decide to take that first step?
I did not have any other option. So I can give you two answers. One is a physical answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The desperation, you have to make money because my mother always I was born to a working mom.
Mm-hmm.
So it is in those days, you can think of India, which was like, I was born in 1966. So India was like 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was a college graduate. So I was born to that kind of mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she had two daughters, and then she had to give up her work, you know, voluntary retirement, and raise a family, take care of a family. So, and she used to work in the court system, the High Court of Guwahati. She was a court reporter and she was an activist. So she would always say this to us. And she used to take us on all her protest marches and everything. And she used to always say this to us growing up: a woman with no money of her own is a woman with no respect of her own.
Hmm.
Women need to have their own money because otherwise you always have to like do favors and ask for favors. And she says that's no way for a woman to live. You need to have money of your own. So for me, it was like I never knew that there was an option to not work for a living. When I
Hmm.
was 14, I started tutoring
Hmm.
kids in physics and math, all these fun subjects. So I have worked and made my own money since I was 14. So that is, and then I went through a divorce,
Hmm.
bankruptcy, blah, blah, blah. Long stories. People can read my books to find out all the details of those stories. But I always knew that I needed money of my own. So you can call it desperation. And I had 3 kids to raise, right? And I moved from Texas to California. So,
Hmm.
going from a state that does not charge you taxes to a state that charge you a lot of taxes. So
Yeah.
all that desperation. So that I can tell you is my, earthly answer. But the true answer is like when a soul incarnates, I'm going to go woo woo over here. They are the brave ones
Hmm.
who say like, all right, I'll come back again. And guess what? I'm going to be a human, not an elephant or a tiger or something, because or a tree or an ant or anything. I'm going to be a human because humans have egos. And this can help us, and this is what hurts us. You incarnate, and your soul tribe is usually out there. Very rarely people like you and me, like, hey, I know you, hey, I
Hmm.
know you,
Hmm.
come across. Most people, our tribe is out there. And I'll give you an example for anyone who's out there who's not into woo-woo stuff to also know how they are connected. I'll give you that example. So you tell them, all right, buddy, I'll go do this and you stay over here. Okay. So we are the brave ones who incarnate as humans, right? And suddenly they are like seeing you do stuff and they're like, man, he made this promises. She said she would do this. And where is she going now? What is she doing? They will create circumstances for you that you are led back to the path you promised.
Mm.
And you keep coming back. So this is where the Vedantic philosophies and the Buddhist philosophies come into play. Is like when you have been a human for many, many, many lifetimes, like what people call is evolved souls, that you are like, you don't have an escape. You are always brought back to the path that you promised that you would walk on. And for people, they're like, what is that supposed to mean? So I'll tell you this. If you live in America and you're driving on the freeway, and suddenly, for no reason, you feel like, oh, I have to go to the side. And suddenly you see like, oh, there's a truck that went by. I don't know what happened. I just saved myself. And that's when you are like, oh, it was my angels. Because people have no reason why they veered off the road or did something, and something just saved them. And they say like, oh, it was my angels that hooked me away from danger and kept me safe. So even if you are not into this woo-woo stuff, I have met so many people who have been touched by their angels, these higher beings that are out there who are not incarnated in the human form, and they have had these experiences. So
I typically like to ask the question of why other people don't get outside their comfort zone, what you'd have for them. But I really love what you just landed, and this is it's a huge takeaway for me. So I would like to let that sit for people, and it's what I'm getting from today's call is you're here for a reason, and to feel it and to know that paw print you have to leave on this earth when your time is gone. To be courageous, to think on your own, to be confident enough to think on your own, to make affirmations to yourself, to remind yourself why you're here in that paw print, to give it to yourself right before bed, right before we slip into that subconscious, unconscious thought, right? To start to really program. And for anyone that gets in the way, to practice the art of forgiveness. To know that it's not for them, it's for yourself to push through because you're here to do something big. Keya, thank you so much for being on this podcast. Anyone that's listening, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you like what Keya had to say, we're going to put all of her information down below. If you'd like to chat with her, she does free breakthrough calls. Click the link below. Absolutely incredible. And we will see you next week in the Thought Leader podcast. And hopefully continuing to listen to these allows you to get that message in your heart, that mastery in your mind out to the world and get outside your comfort zone. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much, Keya.
Thank you.